What is up? Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful day. Back with some more Resident Evil 4 remake gameplay as well as original gameplay, because today we're going to be comparing the two scenes between the original and the remake of the entering of the village scene. I've always been on record for saying this. I think this whole sequence of the entering of the village in the original Resident Evil 4 was just a perfect way to start the game, the perfect setup, and it's just a perfect way to start out. It's just there's something about this scene coming from me who had never played Resident Evil before. Just this opening sequence has always resonated with me, and it was the perfect start. But let's analyze what makes it so good, and we'll see how it's done in a remake. I just think what makes it so crazy is like you have a few, minutes before you get to this part to start out, and you shoot a few granados, but you never had so many at one time, and just that whole convergence of them as soon as they see you, and then they just come at you in swarms. It kind of puts you really off edge and off balance, and you're thinking, oh my god, like, how am I going to fight all these guys? And obviously you get a few things to do. You get prompts, you get kicks, you can hit them back, and even suplex them, maybe get headshots, but there's so many things you have to hit because you get so many of them and they keep coming and spawning, and you're just thinking, oh my god, like, how in the hell can I take out all these guys? And obviously you don't take them all out, but when you're first playing this, you have no idea about that. You're just fighting as many of them as you can see, and they just seemingly keep coming in an infinite swarm, and eventually they get in, they get some hits, and they hit you with everything. Pitchforks, they'll hatchets, they'll scythe sickles, they'll strangle you, they will do everything they can, and they just converge on you, and they just seemingly just non-stop. You see more of them coming in the front, and you're just kind of in a panic, like what the hell do I do? And you're just running around just trying to get away from them, and seemingly it just seems like they just don't stop spawning. So eventually, as everyone does once event, you go into the house, it's open, but unfortunately it triggers another iconic scene that's always resonated with me, and that is the arrival of the Chainsaw Man. And Dr. Salvador definitely just makes things from bad to worse, because now you got to deal with him as if it wasn't bad enough. And I just always felt that this sequence was so well done because it just amps up how much intensity is going on in a moment, and just amps up how like sporadic you're thinking, oh my god, like what am I gonna do? Like you got like 550 of these ganados out there, you got a chainsaw maniac, and you're seemingly running out of ammunition, your health is starting to dwindle down a little bit. But, this room definitely does have one thing in love about it, in their house, I should say, and that is the shotgun. And obviously the shotgun is there, and you also get a grenade. So you finally get a little bit of, like, breathing room, but obviously you got to make these shots count because you don't have an unlimited amount of shots, and you bust through the window and you start fighting on top of the roof. But the point is, it doesn't matter where you go, they're going to still follow you, and now you got the chainsaw guy coming after you, so you got to be smart. And it's always felt like this whole introduction is as effective, because remember, this is just the beginning of the game. This isn't like, a few chapters in. It's not like you built up to this moment. It's thrown at you pretty early on, so it's like, damn, if this is how the early stage of the game's going, how's the rest of the game going to be? And it just really, it sets the tone. It forever sets the tone, and to this day, I think a lot of people always prefer the village, maybe towards a lot of parts in the original. And I know the castle's still great, and I do like the island, even though it's a little bit more controversial. But the point I'm trying to get here is just this village, this whole sequence here of just been non-stop coming and coming and coming, and not like stopping, and then just it just feels like an endless supply of just terror and madness, and you're just wondering, like, when is it going to stop? Like, when is it going to honestly stop? And let me tell you something. The phrase "Saved by the Bell," it's not just the TV series. Trust me. It literally, it's true in this whole sequence, especially when you're doing it for the first time. And as I said, it's Chainsaw Mania. He seemingly just keeps taking more bullets and more bullets and more bullets, and he just doesn't seemingly want to die. Another thing about him is just that the whole danger of him getting so close, and when he gets so close and he makes that sound effect when he's about to swing at you, I'll admit that sound effect, I'll state it when it comes to it, but I still think I maybe like the original Chainsaw Man just because of that sound effect he makes when he revs up a swing at you, because it just puts you on edge, like, oh shit. And Eventually he does go down, but not before a bunch of bullets and a bunch of damage. But it just goes to show you just how dangerous these Ganados can be, regardless of which type they are, just the normal ones or maybe it's a Chainsaw Maniac. They don't stop. The only thing that stops them, as I said, is the bell. And once the bell plays, you are saved. But overall, let's analyze this. Now, you have this kind of setting. You see your one police officer burning. You have these villagers. They all converge on you as soon as they see you. They don't stop. They don't hesitate. You go in the one house, a Chainsaw Maniac comes after you. You get a shotgun, but it just seems like even with that, you're just kind of holding them at bay, and you're just trying to hold out until finally this bell rings. But just imagine playing that for the first time. You're just kind of going through, holy shit, like this is the beginning of the game. Like this is basically the prelude of the game, and we're barely surviving that. What's the rest of the game going to be like? The perfect start to the game. But now that we have a remake, we can analyze the remake. And obviously, I'm not going to be talking about how obvious things are improved, like graphics and stuff like that. But one thing I think that I do like in the remake in terms of this whole setup is I like the fact that the officer is still alive, and just hearing him scream as he burns just kind of sets a really more eerie tone, because when you see him in the original one, he's kind of already dead, so you don't really have to worry about that. And just kind of seeing the villagers stand there and like kind of like chanting and this and all of it just kind of sets a really like tribalist view on it. And unlike the original, we're just walking around casually, but eventually you do have to go in there and combat them. And yes, I am aware you can do a stealth way, but I'm just going to do a more action-packed way to show how the villagers just converge on you. And I'll say this right now, one of the biggest differences I'll say from this to the original one is I just feel like the Ganados are that much more aggressive. Like you can do some of the similar things. Obviously, you got some more things you can do. You can parry stuff. You can use your knife to stab them in when they grab you, and then you parry the pitchfork here. But I just feel like it's a lot more difficult to do a lot of things. And the Ganados are just more aggressive, more sporadic. They're harder to hit. And you're going to really have to master a lot of the controls. So it just seems like it takes everything the original has, but amps it up. And so they can grab you. You can do some duo like combinations, even duo fatalities if you're not careful. But they don't stop. They keep coming after you, and you got to be on the ball, ready for it. The best way I can explain the Ganados in the remake is it's kind of like fighting the NWO, from the WCW days. It's like you're not just going to be going after one. If you go in their territory, you better be worried about all 20 of them coming after you, because they're going to be coming after you, and they're going to be sprinting after you, and you better watch your back, your front, your side, your top, your bottom, because they're all over the damn place, and they will not stop. Even running away is a lot more difficult in this game because they have a lot bigger of a range. So, first off, they're just more amped up in this compared to the remake. I also like the mustiness of the smoke, and it just kind of looks cool there. But obviously a lot more graphical details. As I said, this is a 18 later remake, so it should be a lot better in a lot of things. But similar to the original one, if you go in the house here, you do trigger Dr. Salvatore. But it's also keen to notice that Dr. Salvatore also can be triggered another way too. So you don't necessarily have to go in the house to trigger him. So either way, you're kind of F there. And here he comes, and I'm kind of split between if I like his remake design better than the original one. I think it's more like the burlap bag I like more in the original one, but that's a personal preference. But here he goes, just like in the original one, you're trying to scavenge stuff. He's breaking in, and you got the shotgun. You also got a grenade, and you're trying to run through the house. You got the extra window that you can go out and help you out, and in the original one, there was not that extra window, which I'm about to go out real soon. But you just get a sense of, it's got the similarities, but it's just more amped up. It's like it's very similar to the original, but it takes it like 10 steps further. And here we go. This guy, I'll be honest with you, fighting him, I think he's more effective maybe just sound-wise in the original one, but fighting him, he seems a lot more dangerous and terrifying, just for the fact it seems like you can't always like stagger him as easy as you can in the original one, because he just seemingly comes at you like a mindless zombie. And maybe you could argue that him not making as many sounds compared to the original one, maybe that might make it more effective just because he seems like he just doesn't care. Like, you shoot him, he just, you know, he doesn't have that revved up sound like in the original one, but it just seems like he just comes at you. He doesn't care. He's not saying anything. Obviously, didn't say anything too much in the original one, but like he just keeps coming. He doesn't care who you are. Just contorts his body, and it just seems like he just never goes down. Eventually, he does go down, but just like in the original one, it takes a while. But I'll say fighting him is a little bit more terrifying. Now, granted, if you do use I didn't try to use it in this. If you do use the TMP, it does make it a lot easier. But I just try to use the normal stuff like the handgun and shotgun and maybe a grenade. But other than that, he's terrifying. But even when he goes down, it's just the Ganados. I just think they're so much more amped up than in the original one. They just don't stop. They keep fighting you. They keep grabbing you. And the Saved by the Bell phrase is used in this one, but times 10 because they don't stop. And also, you know, there's a few differences. I told you the window in the one house. And this one, yes, you can hug the ladder to stay up here, but don't go too far over here because if you do, well, you're going right through the place. So there's a lot of new things even for OG players, and I like that. So it keeps you on edge. So old spots you try to use to get away from stuff aren't always going to work now. So I like that updates, and there's probably more things I haven't even seen yet. But the point I'm trying to make here is that I love this intro. I love the remake intro, and the remake just makes it a lot more difficult, more intense, and obviously you get more controls of what you can do, but you got to be able to utilize that or you're just going to be taken advantage of. And finally, when you do hear this bell, it's a great relief. So let's analyze this for a second. Things I like in the original, things I like in the remake. I think I like the whole fire policeman being burnt alive in the remake than the original one. I also like the fact that a bell kind of happens in real time, where in the original it happens in a cutscene. I think, and with the chainsaw man, I'm split. There's things I like in the original one. I just like that sound effect he makes when he revs up his chainsaw more than what he does in the remake. But I think in the remake, just shooting at him and the way he moves, I think I like him a lot more because he moves differently. Just the way his body moves. And in the original one, he kind of just moves just like the other Ganados, just comes at you. But just the way his body contorts when you shoot him, especially when he dies, it's weird. But it also puts an unsettling feeling. But the Ganados in the remake, oh my goodness, as I said, it's like fighting the NWO. You know, you're not fighting one of them. You're fighting the whole damn posse, and they're all coming at you from all angles. So you got to be ready, and you got to master all the controls. You're given more controls in a remake, but you're also seemingly having a tougher challenge, and I like that. So I'm split. I like things in the original. I like things in the both, but I think we can come together and say both of them are really damn effectively. Let me know down below which one you like better, the remake or the original one. But that is going to be it. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video, and hopefully I can see you guys back on the next one. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I hope to see you all later. Peace.